The great hall on Ilaris Prime glowed with soft blue light. Tall crystal pillars rose from the floor to the high ceiling. Around a wide circular table sat the representatives of the Galactic Council. There were tall beings with shining scales, small creatures with many eyes, insect-like figures that clicked when they spoke, and others whose bodies changed color with their moods. They had come from hundreds of worlds. For thousands of years, this council kept peace among the stars. Today was supposed to be a normal meeting. Ambassador Laura Bennett sat in the human section. She wore a simple gray suit. Her dark hair was tied back neatly. She looked calm, but her eyes moved slowly across the room. She watched every face. Next to her sat John Hayes. He was tall and quiet. His uniform had no bright medals, only small pins that showed he worked for Earth's Defense Force. He kept his hands folded on the table. To the aliens, they looked like two ordinary humans. No one paid them much attention. The council president, Vexar, stood up. He was a tall insectoid with a hard black shell and long thin arms. His voice came through a small translator box on his chest. It sounded flat and clear. "Friends and allies," Vexar began, "we gather once more to discuss the harmony of our shared galaxy. Today we have two small matters. First, the trade route near the Orion Arm needs new patrol ships. Second, we must speak about the rapid growth of human military power." A low murmur spread through the room. Many eyes turned toward Laura and John. Some aliens looked curious, others looked annoyed. A delegate from the Krell stood up. His name was Gorvax. He was large, with thick red scales and sharp teeth that showed when he spoke. The Krell were known for their love of battle. They respected strength, but they did not like humans very much. "The humans build too many warships," Gorvax said, in a deep growl. "Their weapons grow stronger every year. They claim it is for defense, but we see expansion. If they continue, they will disturb the balance. We demand that Earth reduce its fleet by half, or we will vote for sanctions." More voices joined in. A small feathered creature from the Aviara worlds chirped in agreement. A jelly-like being from the water worlds pulsed with purple light to show support. They all spoke of stability and peace. They said humans were too young in the galaxy. They said humans acted like children with dangerous toys. Laura listened without changing her face. She had heard these words many times before. John leaned slightly toward her and whispered, so only she could hear. "They still think we are afraid," he said. Laura gave the smallest nod. She kept her eyes on Vexar. The president raised one thin arm for silence. The room grew quiet. "Ambassador Bennett," Vexar said, "the council would like to hear from Earth. What do you say to these concerns?" Laura stood up slowly. She looked around the table. Her voice was clear and steady. "Thank you, President Vexar. Earth respects the Council and the peace we all share. Our ships protect our colonies and our trade lanes, just as your fleets protect yours. We have never attacked first. We have never broken a treaty. Our growth comes from need, not from greed. We ask the Council to trust our words." Gorvax laughed. It was a rough sound. "Trust? Humans speak nicely, but their shipyards never sleep. We have seen the reports. New weapons, new engines, new defenses around your home world. You prepare for war." Laura looked straight at him. "We prepare for anything. That is different from wanting war." The room stayed quiet for a moment. Then Vexar spoke again. "We will vote on the matter in 3 days. Until then, we ask Earth to consider our request. Ambassador Bennett, do you have anything more to add?" Laura paused. She looked at John for half a second. He gave her the smallest shake of his head. "Not yet." "No, Mr. President," she said. "We will wait for the vote." She sat down. The meeting moved to other topics. Talk turned to mining rights on a distant moon and repairs to an old space bridge. The humans stayed silent. They listened. They watched. After the session ended, the delegates left the hall in small groups. Some walked together, talking in low voices. Others floated or crawled toward the exits. Laura and John stayed in their seats until most of the room was empty. They stood up and walked toward a side door. A young human aide named Daniel Carter waited for them there. He was thin, with short brown hair and quick eyes. He carried a small data pad. "They're serious this time," Daniel said quietly as they stepped into the corridor. "Gorvax has been talking to the others for weeks. He wants a show of force." Lara nodded. "They always want to test us. They think we will back down." John looked down the long hallway. Lights ran along the walls in gentle waves. "They don't know what we have waiting," he said. Daniel lowered his voice even more. "Eclipse is still locked. Level 9 clearance only. If we show even a part of it—" "Not yet," Lara said. "We give them one more chance. But if they push, we stop playing nice." They walked in silence for a while. The corridor opened into a wide balcony that looked out over Alaris Prime. Below them stretched green forests and silver lakes. Above, stars filled the black sky. Ships moved slowly in orbit, like tiny points of light. John stopped at the railing. He looked out at the peaceful view. "Back on Earth," he said, "people are going to work, raising kids, watching sunsets. They don't know how close we are to showing the galaxy what humans are really capable of." Laura stood beside him. "They will learn soon enough if the Council forces our hand." Daniel checked his datapad. "We have a secure line to Earth in 2 hours. Admiral Brooks wants an update. He said to remind you, do not reveal anything until the vote. But be ready." Laura took a slow breath. The air smelled clean and slightly sweet from the trees below. "I understand," she said. "We wait, we watch, and if they make the wrong choice—" John finished her sentence. "Then they meet the plan we hoped we would never use." The three humans stood together on the balcony. Around them, the galaxy continued its quiet dance. Ships traveled between stars. Worlds spun in their orbits. Life went on, as it had for ages. But in that calm moment, something dark waited. A plan born from humanity's oldest fears. A plan designed not to win battles, but to end wars before they began. A plan so cold and complete that even the humans who wrote it hoped it would stay hidden forever. On Alaris Prime, the calm before the storm held strong. For now. The vote was 3 days away. The next morning on Alaris Prime felt different. The air in the council halls carried a sharp edge. Delegates moved faster. Their voices stayed low. Eyes darted toward the human section more often. The vote on human disarmament was still 2 days away, but the mood had already changed. Gorvax, the Krell ambassador, walked the main corridor with 3 of his guards. Their heavy boots made loud thuds on the smooth stone floor. He stopped near a group of smaller species, representatives from the peaceful Lirani and the quiet Vorath. Gorvax leaned in close. His red scales caught the light. "The humans think they can talk their way out of this," he said in a rough whisper. "They build weapons that could burn whole systems. We cannot wait for them to strike first. We must act now, before they grow too strong." One of the Lirani, a thin blue-skinned female named Sira, tilted her head. "But Earth has never attacked us. Their ships only defend their own worlds." Gorvax showed his sharp teeth. "They defend today. Tomorrow they conquer. I have seen the old records. Humans fought each other for centuries. They used bombs that turned cities to ash. They poisoned their own air. If they can do that to themselves, imagine what they will do to us." The Vorath delegate clicked his mandibles nervously. "We should ask for more proof." "Proof?" Gorvax laughed. "Their shipyards are proof. Their new shields are proof. Their silence is proof. They hide something. I say we vote to send inspection fleets to Earth. If they refuse, we have our reason to move. The group broke apart slowly. Whispers followed Gorvax as he walked away. Words spread like wind through dry grass. In a small private room far from the main hall, Laura Bennett sat at a round table with John Hayes and Daniel Carter. The room had no windows. Only soft white light came from the ceiling. A small device on the table blocked any listening tools. They could speak freely. Daniel placed his datapad in the center. A map of the galaxy glowed on the screen. Red dots marked human colonies. Blue lines showed trade routes. Green circles showed council patrol zones. Gorvax is building a coalition, Daniel said. He has the Krell, 3 Waterworld clans, and now the Aviara are leaning his way. They want inspections, full access to our bases. If we say no, they call it proof of guilt. Laura stared at the map. They want to see our strength, but they will not like what they find. John leaned back in his chair. His face stayed calm, but his eyes were hard. We cannot let them near our core facilities, not the orbital yards, not the research stations, and never the Eclipse archives. Daniel looked between them. So we refuse? Then what? Sanctions? Blockades? They might try to force it. Laura tapped the table once. Nothing more. We remind them of past incidents. The Battle of Vega 9. The defense of New Harmony. Times when humans fought and won against bigger fleets. We show strength without showing the plan. John nodded slowly. But if they push harder, then we show a peace, Laura said. Just enough to make them think twice. Not the full eclipse. Not yet. Daniel opened another file on his pad. It showed a locked folder marked with a black symbol. Only a few people on Earth had the key. Eclipse was made after the Contact War. When we first met the Council, they treated us like primitives. Some species wanted to take our worlds for resources. We said no. They laughed. Then they tried. We stopped them. Hard. After that, our leaders decided we needed something bigger. Something that would make any enemy stop before they started. John spoke quietly. Eclipse is not about winning a war. It is about making sure no war happens. Self-replicating drones. Targeted strikes on command centers, power grids, communication nets. No bombs on cities, no death camps. Just silence. Isolation. A whole species cut off from the stars in days. They live, but their governments fall. Their fleets drift blind. Their people panic, and they never fight back. Daniel shivered a little. It was built from our darkest lessons, from wars on Earth, where one side broke the other, not with force, but with fear. We learned how to end a fight before it began. Laura closed her eyes for a second. We hoped we would never need it. The Council was supposed to be better than that. Fair, wise, but some of them still see us as a threat. Not partners, not equals. Prey. A soft knock came at the door. An aide entered. Ambassador, the Council calls an unscheduled session. Gorvax has requested emergency debate on human disarmament. Laura stood up. How long? 30 minutes. She looked at John and Daniel. We speak clear. We give no ground. They left the room together. The corridors felt colder now. Delegates watched them pass. Some turned away. Others stared openly. In the main hall, the seats filled quickly. Vexar stood at the center again. His thin arms moved slowly as he called the session to order. Ambassador Gorvax has brought a new motion, Vexar said. He asks for immediate inspection of Earth's military sites. He says it is for the safety of all. Gorvax rose. His voice filled the room. We do not trust words anymore. We need to see. Let human ships stand down. Let our teams enter their bases. If they have nothing to hide, they will agree. Murmurs rose. Some delegates nodded. Others looked unsure. Laura stood. Every eye turned to her. Earth will not open its defenses to foreign fleets, she said. Her voice stayed even. Our security is our right, just as yours is yours. Inspections would be an act of war. We have broken no laws. We have attacked no one. If the Council wishes peace, let it respect our borders. Gorvax slammed a fist on the table. You hide weapons. You prepare to dominate us. Laura met his gaze. We prepare to survive. That is all. The room grew loud with voices. Vexar raised his arms for quiet. We will debate this tomorrow. Until then, no votes, no actions. The council is adjourned. As the delegates left, Laura, John, and Daniel walked back to their private room. No one spoke until the door closed behind them. Daniel broke the silence. They are closer than before. If they vote for inspections tomorrow, and we refuse, John finished the thought. Then the whispers become shouts, and the shouts become fleets. Laura sat down. She looked at the black folder on the datapad. We wait one more day, she said, but we get ready. Tell Admiral Brooks. Tell him the council is moving toward force. Tell him Eclipse may need to come out of the dark. John nodded. And if they force our hand? Laura looked up at him. Her eyes were steady. Then we show them why humanity never starts wars, but we always finish them. Outside, the stars above Alaris Prime shone cold and bright. The galaxy waited. The calm was breaking. Whispers of dissent grew louder. And somewhere deep in human minds and machines, the darkest plan waited for its moment. 2 days had passed since the first session. 1 day remained until the vote. The council hall felt smaller on the morning of the vote. Delegates filled every seat. Extra chairs had been brought in for observers. The air hummed with tension. No one talked loudly. They whispered. They watched the human section like hawks watching a small animal. Laura Bennett walked in first. She wore the same gray suit. Her face showed no fear. John Hayes followed close behind. His steps were steady. Daniel Carter came last, carrying the datapad with the locked file. They took their seats without a word. Vexar rose slowly. His black shell gleamed under the lights. He looked tired. His voice came through the translator box, quieter than before. Today we vote on the motion for human disarmament and inspection of their military sites. Ambassador Gorvax will speak first. Then Ambassador Bennett. After that, we vote. Gorvax stood. His red scales looked brighter today. He spoke with force. They hide something. We cannot trust them. We must send our ships. We must see their weapons. If they say no, it proves they plan war. The Krell will not wait for Earth to grow stronger. We vote yes for inspections. And if they resist, we act. Many delegates nodded. The Aviara chirped agreement. The Waterworld clans pulsed with deep blue light. Even some neutral species looked worried. The room leaned toward Gorvax. Vexar turned to Laura. Ambassador Bennett, your response. Laura stood. She did not rush. She looked around the hall slowly. Every eye met hers. Then she spoke in a calm, clear voice. Earth will not allow inspections. Our defenses are our own. But before you vote, the Council should see why we say no. Not with words, with facts. She nodded to Daniel. He touched the datapad. A large hologram rose from the center of the table. Stars, planets, fleets appeared in glowing light. This is a simulation, Laura said. It shows what happens if the Council sends fleets to force Earth to disarm. Watch carefully. The hologram changed. Hundreds of Council ships moved toward Earth. They came from every direction. Krell cruisers led the way. Aviara fighters swarmed. Waterworld carriers hung back. It looked unstoppable. Then the image shifted to Earth's side. Human ships waited in orbit. They did not attack first. They held position. The Council fleets fired. Beams and missiles lit the dark. But the human response came fast. Small platforms in high orbit opened. They released clouds of tiny objects. The objects looked like dust at first. Then they grew. They multiplied. Self-replicating drones. Millions of them. Billions. The drones did not target the attacking ships. They flew past. They headed straight for the homeworlds of the aggressors. The holograms showed maps. Lines stretched from Earth to distant stars, to Krell Prime, to Aviara nests, to the water worlds. The drones arrived in hours. They spread over cities, power plants, communication towers, command centers. Lights went out. Signals died. Ships in orbit lost contact with home. Leaders could not speak to their fleets. Armies could not move. People looked up at silent skies. Panic started. Not from bombs, not from fire. From nothing. From the sudden end of connection. In weeks, whole systems became quiet. Fleets drifted without orders. Governments fell apart. Societies broke into small groups. No one died in large numbers. No cities burned. But civilizations stopped. They were cut off from the stars. Isolated. Helpless. The simulation froze. The last image stayed. A dark galaxy with Earth still bright. A single line of text appeared in red letters. We can end your civilization in weeks without killing a single civilian. This is mercy. Silence filled the hall. No whispers, no clicks, no pulses of light, just stunned faces. Gorvax stared at the hologram. His mouth hung open. His sharp teeth looked small now. An Aviara delegate trembled. This is not possible. Laura spoke again. Her voice stayed even. It is possible. We built it. We call it Eclipse. It was made after our first contact with the Council, when some of you wanted our worlds, when you laughed at our warnings. We decided then, if the galaxy forces us to fight for survival, we will not fight fair. We will end the threat before it touches our home. John Hayes stood beside her. He spoke for the first time. His voice was low but clear. We never wanted this. We kept it hidden for decades. We hoped the Council would stay fair. We hoped we could be partners. But today, you talk of forcing us, of taking our freedom. So now you see what waits if you push too far. A jelly-like delegate from the deep oceans quivered. You would destroy entire species? No, Laura said. We would stop them. Your people would live. Your children would grow up. But your fleets would rust. Your governments would fade. Your stars would become empty. You would return to your own worlds. Forever. Vexar tried to speak. His voice cracked. This is forbidden. Such weapons break every treaty. Laura looked at him. Treaties protect the strong from the weak. But when the weak grows strong, the rules change. We did not make this to conquer. We made it to survive, to make sure no one ever tries to wipe us out again. William Brooks, the human engineer who had come as a technical advisor, stepped forward. He was older, with gray hair and steady hands. He pointed at the frozen hologram. These drones are already built. Not millions, billions, hidden in deep space, ready to launch on one command. We can target any system. We can choose what to hit. Power, communications, leadership, or nothing at all. We choose mercy every time, but mercy has limits. The room stayed quiet. Delegates looked at each other. Some turned pale. Others shrank in their seats. The Krell guards behind Gorvax gripped their weapons tighter, but they did not move. Gorvax finally spoke. His voice sounded smaller. You threaten us with this nightmare. Laura shook her head. No, we show you, because you threatened us first. You demanded our weapons, our freedom. Now you know the price. Vote if you want, but know this, if your fleets move toward Earth, Eclipse begins. Not tomorrow, not in weeks, in hours. She sat down. Daniel turned off the hologram. The hall felt darker without it. Vexar looked around. No one spoke. He swallowed hard. We will take a short break. Then, we vote. Delegates rose slowly. Many avoided looking at the humans. Some hurried out. Others stayed, staring at the empty space where the simulation had been. Laura, John, Daniel, and William sat together. They did not smile. They did not celebrate. John spoke quietly. They saw it. Now they know. Laura nodded. Now they fear us. That was the point. Outside the hall, the stars above Elleris Prime looked colder. The vote waited. But something had changed. The galaxy had seen humanity's true face. Not the polite ambassador, not the quiet defender. The face that planned for the end of worlds, and chose not to use it. The short break lasted longer than anyone expected. Delegates did not rush back to their seats. Many stood in small groups outside the hall. Some talked in low voices. Others stared at the floor. A few left the building entirely, as if they needed air. The weight of what they had seen pressed down on everyone. Inside, the humans stayed in their places. Laura Bennett sat straight. Her hands rested on the table. John Hayes watched the doors. Daniel Carter checked his data pad for any messages from Earth. William Brooks sat quietly, his eyes on the empty hologram space. None of them spoke. They waited. One by one, the delegates returned. Their faces looked different now. The pride was gone from many. The confidence had cracked. Gorvax walked in last. His shoulders sagged a little. His guards followed, but they kept their weapons lowered. Vexar took his place at the center. The translator box made a small click. "We return to the vote," he said. "But first, does any delegate wish to speak?" Silence held for a long moment. Then a small Aviara delegate stood. Her feathers trembled. Her name was Lyra. I withdraw my support for the motion," she said. Her voice was soft. "What we saw, it changes everything. We cannot risk this." Murmurs spread. A Waterworld representative pulsed with pale green light. The simulation showed no mercy in return. Only silence. We do not wish for silence. Gorvax looked around. He saw the shift. Faces that had nodded with him now looked away. He gripped the edge of the table. His claws scraped the surface. "This is a trick," he growled. "Humans show us shadows to scare us. They bluff. They always bluff." William Brooks stood slowly. He was not tall, but his presence filled the space. "It is no bluff," he said. His voice was calm and steady. "The platforms exist. The command codes exist. We tested them in deep space years ago. They work perfectly. If your fleets move, the order will go out. In minutes, the first wave launches. In hours, your homeworlds go dark. Not destroyed. Dark. That is the difference between us and others. We do not burn worlds. We turn off the lights." A Vorath delegate clicked his mandibles. Why build such a thing? Why plan for the end of civilizations? John Hayes answered. He spoke without anger. "Because we learned from our own history. On Earth, long before we reached the stars, we fought wars that almost ended us. Nations built weapons so terrible that using them meant death for everyone. But those weapons kept the peace. No one dared start the final fight. We saw what happened when strength was not matched by fear. When one side thought the other would never strike back. We lost cities. We lost people. We promised ourselves, never again. If the galaxy ever forces us into a corner, we will not lose. We will make sure the corner never comes. Eclipse was our last resort. We hid it because we wanted peace. We wanted to join the council as equals. But equals do not demand inspections. Equals do not threaten sanctions for building defenses. You pushed. We showed you the wall we built to protect our home." The room stayed quiet. Delegates looked at each other. Some nodded slowly. Others wiped moisture from their eyes or skin. A tall, scaled delegate from the neutral Zethar worlds stood. His name was Koran. He spoke in a deep, slow voice. Then let us speak plainly. No more threats, no more votes for force. Instead, we offer alliance. True alliance. Humans join the inner council. They gain veto power on military actions. In return, Earth shares some technology. Not weapons, not eclipse, but engines, shields, medicine, things that help all of us. This time, they sounded hopeful. Vexar looked surprised. You suggest rewriting the treaties? Koran nodded. Yes, because the old way no longer works. We treated humans as children. Now we see they are something else. Not conquerors, not weak, guardians. They built the darkest plan so they would never have to use it. That takes wisdom and strength. Gorvax slammed his fist again, but the sound was weak this time. You would bow to them after one show? Koran turned to him. I would rather bow than live in darkness. You saw the same thing I did. Your pride will not save your world if those drones fly. Gorvax opened his mouth. No words came. He sat down heavily. Laura spoke next. Her voice stayed gentle. Earth does not want your submission. We want peace. Real peace. Where no one threatens anyone. Where colonies grow. Where trade flows. Where children on every world look at the stars without fear. If the Council chooses that path, we will walk it with you. But if force comes again, we will answer. Vexar raised his thin arms. Then let us vote. Not on disarmament, not on inspections, on a new motion. Recognition of humanity as a core power. Veto rights on defense matters. Open talks for shared technology. And a promise. No fleet will ever move against Earth without full Council agreement. Hands, claws, tentacles, and wings rose, one after another. The vote passed quickly. Almost no one opposed it. Gorvax did not raise his hand, but he did not speak against it either. He sat silent. When the session ended, delegates did not leave in a rush. Many walked to the human section. They bowed. They offered quiet words. We were wrong. We see now. Thank you for showing us. Laura nodded to each one. She did not smile. She accepted their words with calm respect. Outside the hall, John, Daniel, William, and Laura walked to the balcony. The green forests below looked peaceful again. The stars above shone bright. Daniel broke the silence. It worked. They backed down. John looked out at the sky. They backed down because they were afraid. Fear bought us time, but fear does not last forever. We must be careful. William nodded. The plan stays hidden, but now they know it exists. That changes everything. Laura leaned on the railing. The cool night air touched her face. We did what we had to, she said. We shocked them into sense. Now we build something better, together, if they let us. A soft wind moved through the trees. Far above, a council ship drifted slowly into orbit. Its lights blinked like a promise. The reckoning had come, not with fire, not with war, with truth, with the shadow of what could have been. And because of that shadow, the galaxy took one careful step toward real peace. Humanity had not won by force. They had won by making others see the cost of force. For the first time, the stars felt a little less cold. The days after the vote felt strange on Alaris Prime. The council halls were quieter. Delegates spoke in softer voices. They walked slower. No one shouted demands. No one waved claws or tentacles in anger. The air carried a new feeling, not peace yet, but something close to respect. Laura Bennett stood in a small meeting room with the inner council members. Vexar sat at the head of the table. Koran from the Zethar worlds was there. Lyra from the Aviara, even a quiet representative from the water worlds. John Hayes and Daniel Carter stood behind Laura. William Brooks waited near the door, with a datapad full of new treaty drafts. Vexar spoke first. His thin arms moved carefully. We have rewritten the core treaties. Humanity now holds veto power on all military matters. No fleet moves without your agreement. No sanctions touch Earth without full vote. In return, you share knowledge, not weapons, not the Eclipse system, but clean engines, medicines for old diseases, things that lift every world. Laura listened. She nodded once. Earth agrees, she said. We share what helps life, not what ends it. Our people want partners, not rulers, not enemies. Corin leaned forward. His scales made a soft scrape against the chair. You showed us something we did not expect. Strength wrapped in silence. We thought humans were young, reckless. Now we see you are careful. You built the end of worlds so you would never have to use it. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Lyra's feathers lifted a little. Our nests still tremble when we think of the dark. But we thank you. You could have stayed quiet. Let us vote. Let us send ships. Instead, you warned us. You gave us a chance to choose. Laura looked at each face. We did not want fear. We wanted understanding. Fear fades. Understanding lasts. The meeting ended with handshakes, claw touches, and soft pulses of light. Papers were signed. Data files exchanged. The new order began. Laura, John, Daniel, and William left the building together. They walked to the landing field, where their shuttle waited. The green forests stretched below. Silver lakes caught the sunlight. Above, council ships moved in calm patterns. No one rushed. No one watched them with suspicion. On the shuttle ride back to the orbital station, Daniel broke the quiet. It feels unreal, he said. We went from threats to allies in days. John looked out the window at the stars. Fear opened the door, he said. Now we have to walk through it carefully. One wrong step, and the fear comes back. William nodded. The plan stays locked, but the knowledge of it stays out there. Every species will remember. That memory will keep the peace longer than any treaty. Laura sat back. She closed her eyes for a moment. The hum of the engines felt steady, safe. When they reached the Earth orbital station, a small crowd waited. Not soldiers, not leaders, regular people. Engineers, scientists, families who lived in the spinning rings above the planet. They clapped when Laura stepped out. They cheered for John and Daniel and William. Simple words floated through the air. You did it. We're safe. Thank you. Laura raised a hand. The noise died down. We did not win a war, she said. We stopped one before it started. The galaxy knows us now, not as upstarts, not as threats, as the ones who look at the dark and choose light anyway. The crowd grew quiet. They understood. Later, Laura walked alone to the observation deck. The deck had a wide window that looked down on Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, green lands, cities that glowed softly at night. She stood there a long time. He stood beside her without speaking at first. You okay? He asked. She nodded slowly. I keep thinking about the plan, she said. We built something so terrible. We hoped it would stay buried forever. But when we showed it, it worked. It saved us. It saved them too. John looked at the planet below. Sometimes the darkest things protect the brightest ones, he said. We learned that on Earth long ago. Now the galaxy learned it. They stood in silence. Stars moved slowly past the window. Ships traveled between worlds. Trade lanes opened wider. New colonies planned. Children on distant planets would grow up hearing stories. Stories of humans who shocked the council, who revealed a nightmare, so no one had to live it. Weeks passed. Treaties took effect. Human ships joined council patrols, not as enemies, as equals, Technology flowed. A new engine design reached the water worlds. Sickness faded on Aviara nests. Shields grew stronger on Zethar cities. Life improved. Gorvax never spoke against Earth again. He stayed quiet in meetings. His pride had broken, but in its place came something new. Caution. Respect. One evening, Laura received a message from Vexar. It was simple. Thank you for mercy. The stars are brighter because of it. She read it twice. Then she looked out at the galaxy again. Back on Earth, people went to work. They raised children. They watched sunsets. They laughed. They argued. They lived. Most never knew the full story of Eclipse. They did not need to. The shadow had done its job. In the quiet of space, the platforms waited, hidden, silent, ready. But the command never came. The drones stayed asleep. The darkness stayed locked away. Humanity stood taller in the eyes of the galaxy, not as conquerors, not as bullies, as the quiet ones who had stared into the abyss, planned to win from it. And then chose to step back. They became the guardians no one expected, the species that shocked the stars into wisdom. Laura turned from the window. She walked back to the station corridors. Lights glowed soft around her. Voices echoed ahead. Life continued. The darkest war plan had never been used, but its shadow had changed everything. Peace held, not because of kindness alone, but because everyone now knew what waited if kindness failed. And in that knowledge, the galaxy found a new kind of balance, one that might last.